Hi guys, and welcome to the third episode of Marketing Academy. Today we're going to be talking about selling oGV, and hopefully you've been following along already with the first and second episodes where we talked about delivering better info stands on your university campus and better lecture presentations. This is going to be the next logical continuation, so if you haven't checked that out, make sure that you do. But if you just became a member of oGV, you probably just found out that we have 3 different products that we're running through which we do our cross-cultural exchange experiences, right? So we have Global Entrepreneur, where we do like startup internships, short-term startup internships. We have Global Talent, where we do professional internships and like long-term professional internships. And we have Global Volunteer, where we are running usually between 6 and 12 week long volunteering experiences abroad. Maybe you didn't know this, but actually in Austria, we're trying to focus on getting just one of these products right, which that means it's our focus product. And so rather than tackling all of the 3 different products, which have different target audiences, which have different specific value propositions, and if we wanted to do it properly, we would need to put a lot of effort into doing 3 different products. We want to try and get one product right before moving on to another one. And that one product that we're trying to work with, maybe you've noticed from the way that we do our info stands, or in general, the priority that we set, it's Global Volunteer. This doesn't mean, of course, that we're not running the other products in the sense that we're not, like we're refusing to process people who want to go on other internship types or anything like this. Like as you can see from the picture here from UV's info stand, they have this roll up in the back, and it still has all the products written on it. And indeed, if somebody were to come up to the info stand and say, I actually want to go on a startup internship, I really want to, that's my dream, it wouldn't be something that we'd say, yeah, no, actually, we don't do that. Please go and talk to another oGV entity or another organization. For sure, we have to have a minimal expertise to run all the products, but Global Volunteer is our focus one, let's say. And that's why this whole presentation, Selling oGV, it's going to be dedicated to figuring out really what is this product all about and what's the best way to sell it. Cool. I hope you guys can hear me. I'll just check really quickly what is going on here. But yeah, it looks like the slides are working. So if you think, what is the definition of Global Volunteer? What is the one sentence that encapsulates really what is this product about? Then I think the best way that you can put it is develop yourself and the world. The product is about volunteering, so it's really catering to people who feel the need to make an impact in the world and who want to make a difference, who feel like where they are now, they're not able to make as good of a difference as if they left their comfort zones and went abroad and made an impact on the global community. So that's why Develop Yourself caters to this like self-development need in people, which is a valid, real, like important thing that our product can provide, let's say, and Develop the World. So catering to, like I said, this specific desire in people that they want to make a social impact. But we can look at it more detailed than this. So actually this is an excerpt from the Blue Book. The Blue Book is our internal brand guideline, but it actually not just like it doesn't just explain which logo you need to use or which colors are our brand colors, but it even goes into a really detailed description of each of our products that we run. And so here's the page for Global Volunteer value proposition and benefits. And I just wanted to show it to you. So here you can see as well under Global Volunteer for Youth, the simple description: develop yourself and the world. Right? This is it in one sentence. And breaking it down a little bit more, we have a cross-cultural volunteer experience for young people who seek to develop themselves and the world. So it's just a little bit more broken down. And underneath, we have 3 different benefits, which are suggestions of how we should market this product. If you're thinking about like, okay, what is this product's essence actually? How can we break down this product? And what are the different parts of it that different people can find a liking in and find themselves attracted to the product through? So I will just introduce them to you as well. So the first one is cross-cultural environment. Be a local in an unknown environment and experience new cultures by working in a diverse and cross-cultural team. So this is a super cultural element of it all. immersing yourself in this intercultural environment. Then secondly, volunteer experience. Volunteering abroad in NGOs or projects that contribute to the Sustainable Development Goals, pressing global issues to create positive impact in local societies. Don't just travel, develop the world. So that's very specifically catering to people who really believe that they want to make a social impact. And then the final one is develop yourself. Grow and develop yourself by going through practical experiences and learning by doing. An intense cross-cultural environment allows you to increase your self-awareness and solution orientation, improve communication skills, and develop a global mindset. Become the best version of yourself. So if you think that these kind of core 3 statements or kind of like, they're already a little bit fluffy, they're already made for marketing and to attract people. But if you think that these are the core essence parts of our product, parts of Global Volunteer, then you could imagine that the cross-cultural environment is what we tackle when we connect ourselves to traveling. You know, when we post on Facebook posts that you know, talk about you want to see the world, they have this imagery of people with their backpacks, this typical picture you see of travelers around the world. Because this is exactly what people who feel the need to leave their country and go and travel are connecting to. When you think about volunteer experience, how do we represent this in our marketing, usually on ground and also online? The SDGs. At the end of the day, the SDGs are firstly, they are a great way of measuring that we're making a valid impact through all of our projects, but they're also a fantastic way of connecting to an already recognized model that shows people that we are about making the world a better place, right? And lastly, this develop yourself. There's many different ways that we tackle this, and I don't think that this is the only way, but what I connect with this, for example, here is our leadership development model. So this is maybe not something that has a lot of recognition, and we don't put it necessarily all over our info stands. But once people get interested in developing themselves, this is the first thing we have them take a look at. It's our internal AIESEC model that shows how our products can actually benefit them and make them become better leaders at the end of the day. Other ways that we're promoting develop yourself is, for example, through blog posts where people describe how much they develop themselves, or maybe you've seen some live the experience posts on our Facebook page. So there oftentimes interns have pictures of themselves and they're maybe in the local community. So people who are attracted to this cross-cultural aspect of the product are connecting with the image. But then the quote talks about I was a completely different person coming out of it and I realized what I want to do in life. And the quote is more connecting to people who are attracted to the develop yourself aspect. I just want to do a quick disclaimer now because I'm hearing myself a little bit and I realize that it might sound a little bit like there's one person for each part of this, or let's say a person can only be attracted to one of these things. But that's absolutely not true. You know, there's obviously, most people are somewhere in the middle. They might be interested in going abroad, and because they're already open to that, they might also be interested in making a difference in the world because they're not just like tourists. Some people maybe want to develop themselves, and because they've already taken an interest in going through a self-development journey, they know that that connects with volunteering, so they want to also make an impact, but they never thought about traveling. So different people and different profiles have different preferences, and that's something to keep in mind whenever you're trying to sell the product at any point in time. Cool. Let me move forward again. Yes, so I hope you got a little bit of a better idea of what Global Volunteer is all about. In the end, people like to hear about these things. They also like to hear about the logistical details a lot of the time. So I wouldn't shy away from that, and make sure you know the answers to these kinds of questions. How long are the internships? What kind of work will I be doing during the internships? That's absolutely valid that people need to know these things, and they might ask you at any point when you're standing at an info stand, or maybe they'll even ask during the lecture presentation. And before you attempt to do any of these things, make sure you know the answer to these questions. But I want to give you 5 extra tips on how you're going to be able to sell oGV better. The first point I have here is don't focus on selling the word leadership. As you know, we just talked about it, leadership or self-development in that sense here is one core part of actually all of our products, but also of Global Volunteer. But that doesn't mean that we need to be forcing this down their throats. Most people, when they hear leadership, at least in our society, they shy away. Maybe it doesn't fit into their self-image. Maybe they still connect it, especially if it's a conversation in German and we say something like Führungsqualität. Maybe they have a bad connotation with the word. There's many reasons why people might not want to hear leadership. Maybe they've always been the kid in school who didn't want to be the team leader or something like this. It doesn't mean that they don't have leadership potential. It doesn't mean that they might not get a lot out of the product. But by overusing the word leadership in marketing, I have experienced myself that it has a negative impact at the end of the day. There's still many ways to describe what we mean when we say leadership. And there's been a lot of different conference sessions and workshops done in AIESEC to try and figure out what is the best way that we can actually say what we mean without actually saying leadership. And what I realized works really well is something like developing yourself personally and professionally, because this is something that many students will, oh yeah, that's something I really need, especially also like personal and professional. Or for example, finding yourself while you're abroad, having an experience where you can understand yourself better by being among other people, something like this that people don't necessarily find so intimidating. So that's the first point. Don't focus on necessarily saying leadership, leadership, leadership. Second thing, find what your audience connects to, right? This is the thing that I've been repeating over and over. Different people have different needs, have different wants. Obviously, there's a usual target audience of, let's say, 18 to 20-something-year-olds, 25-year-olds roughly, in the university environment that we're trying to target. But different people have different needs. Maybe some people want to be like rather going through some self-development, and others want to travel, and others just want to make a difference in the world. So definitely try and figure out through conversation, what is it that your audience most connects to? And that maybe connects to a rookie mistake I've seen really often, that people try to sell product without asking any questions. So somebody will come to the info stand and be like, what do you guys do here? And right after that, the member at the info stand will start speaking nonstop for 3 minutes about every possible element of our product. That doesn't necessarily work so well, because if you start speaking for a long time about the Sustainable Development Goals, and what attracted that person to the info stand was the posters which have pictures of all the different countries we can take them to, then maybe that person is going to be a bit turned off and not really want to listen to the rest of it. So really make those conversations dialogues. Have conversations with every customer that approaches you. Get them to also speak to you and tell them, or have them tell you also why they came to the info stand, for example. Like, why did you come over here? Well, I saw Indonesia right there and my cousin lives there. Oh, wow, really fantastic. Well, and you can go much more into detail on the point that you know that they're like attracted to us from. Number 3, urgency. It's maybe not so much about how to make that initial attraction moment happen, but especially with oGV, which is like global volunteer exchanges are the vast majority of our exchanges, and there's so many opportunities out there. It can be very easy for people to get lost. So, for example, if somebody approaches you at the info stand and you get as far as to be able to show them some opportunities, it's important that you don't let them leave without instilling a sense of urgency. What can that look like, for example? You can say, yeah, so there's these different opportunities. What I would do in your place is really apply in the next 2-3 days, because I can see already that our opportunities are getting less and less. And if you still want to get a really cool project this summer, you really need to make sure that you send those applications now, because it's going to be too late otherwise. It's not necessarily untrue, since there's definitely a competitive market of opportunities, which as we move closer and closer to summer, it's getting less and less. But to really emphasize on this, because otherwise you're going to have a tough time converting these customers into being actually approved to go on a project. So really make sure that before anyone ends a conversation with you, they know that there's actually a sense of urgency and that they need to do the next step. They need to know what is the next step, of course, but they also need to know that they can't just do it whenever they want if they want to go on exchange this summer. Number 4, handle objections. I've seen it way too often that I'm at the info stand and my member is maybe running the info stand for me, and a customer comes up and says, "Hey, what are you guys doing?" And we explain, we're AIESEC, we're running exchange products that develop you personally and professionally. Have you ever thought about blah, blah, blah? And the conversation goes really well, but then something comes up like, oh, yeah, no, I'm actually, I already have something else planned in the summer. And that's it. The member is like, oh, okay, yeah, I shouldn't really go into this more. Oh, okay, I'm sorry, thank you, bye. And that's the end of that encounter. When people have objections, that's completely natural, and many people don't want to make commitments too early, and that's also natural. But it's our job in doing marketing and in doing sales on ground that we're handling these objections, and that we take them and convert them into solutions for the customer that they can still participate in our product. I cannot give a good example right now off the top of my head, but if somebody, for instance, says, okay, I'm actually studying biomedical engineering, of course, there's not many opportunities on our platform where you can do a volunteering internship in a social project that really connects directly to the hard subject matter of biomedical engineering. But, for instance, how could you make this conversation continue? You could say, okay, it sounds like that connects a lot to SDG number 3. There's many, many different projects that you can do to volunteer for good health and well-being. That can be the first thing. If they say, yeah, but actually I wanted to do something more connected to my study field, you can say, I understand that completely, and believe me, I also want to do something related to informatics, but actually I really recommend you to do something not connected to it, because there's an incredible amount of experience you can gain that actually makes you more employable down the line from trying out something which doesn't necessarily only connect to your given career path. So if you, for example, do a teaching project now, or you could even do, as I said, an SDG 3 project with good health and well-being, and contribute to maybe working in an old person's home, for instance. This can actually contribute a lot to your self-development, etc., etc. So I'm giving an example, but these are the kinds of objections that you can handle, and there's many different ways that you can handle people's objections, but it's important not to give up the first time that your customer shows resistance. Okay, and finally, 5th, promote projects and destinations. So this is something that has worked really well for us until now. Don't simply promote Global Volunteer as this like abstract product that they can do with AIESEC, go on a volunteering internship, but actually have projects in mind. Maybe you can have the IR booklet. I can send a link to that afterwards, where we have a list of opportunities for each of the focus SDGs that we have, and also with opportunities that are with our partner countries that we know that they're actually really cool projects. Our posters, they're already designed to promote specific countries that we know that people want to go to, with great big beautiful images of those countries, so people can already start to fall in love with this international experience. So try to make things as concrete as possible for people to really understand. And for example, if you're explaining the kinds of projects you can do, know what kind of projects there are, and then you can give really great examples. So yeah, you can do projects, for example, where you're teaching, and so you spend the first few days of the week creating really cool lesson plans about sustainability and about the SDGs, and then you can spend the last days of the week each week going into different schools with kids aged approximately 10 to 15, and really delivering 2-3 hour sessions with them in the classroom, for example. So it's important that you familiarize yourself with opportunities from our partner countries so that you can actually concretely give examples. Good, fantastic. I wanted to just connect one more time to the Blue Book, since I think that everyone who's an AIESEC should know about the Blue Book. You can look it up at bit.ly/bluebookresources 2018. It has a lot of information. I truly believe you should check out every single page if you haven't already. It teaches you how to work with our brand, but beyond that, it also teaches you exactly how to work with our products, how to create content in the end of the day in AIESEC. If that's something you're interested in, I highly recommend checking that out. And yeah, let's just say it's very much mandatory reading for AIESEC members. Cool. Then I'm already reaching the end of this presentation. I hope you learned a few things from the value proposition of Global Volunteer and from the 5 tips I just gave. If you want to receive your certificate in NATCO and you've been watching the first few sessions and you're still going to watch the last few, make sure that you're going on on go.aiesec.at/mcbquiz and answering the quiz question there. It'll be live in about 2 minutes after this video. And yeah, that way we can make sure that everybody's watching all our videos. Thank you so much, and don't forget to join for episode number 4 on Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. about EP management. That one will not be delivered by me, so if you are already tired of hearing my voice, get ready for some of Mao's beautiful voice. Thank you guys for joining. Bye.